За мен е 4 яйца, другите хора ядат нормално. Нали те е глист?
Не е нормално, и яш много при мен.
Ето става 2 пълни чили. Последната тренировка.
Последната тренировка запусихме и вече сме на път. Специално за господина отварят залата.
Hi. Company.
Къде къде отиваме в момента?
Отиваме към Сити Хола, да видим венюто, да видим къде ще дигаме и да видим дали има промени от преди 2 години. Пит каза, че доста промени са направили по структурата, така че...
Ще видим дали това.
Да.
Това цялото е в момента за сцената.
Тук е warm-up рума. Тук сме по трима. Това ще бъде мита и грита. Това тук има 1600 калории. 1600. Това е под 100 грама. Това се нарича High Density Food. Повече въглехидрат, повече мазнини и трябва да пия един протеинов шейк и съм си направил калориите над 3100.
I'm so squishy items.
Can you repeat what you just said now?
I'm just a small southern
Small wee guy.
boy.
Small. Small.
Child.
So first question, how is the cut going? Is there anything different from the previous competition you're doing now that you've seen this working for him, or you're trying to implement anything new?
Yeah, I think the cut is going well. One thing to keep in mind is over the years, from the first Sheffield and the Worlds in Malta and Lithuania, Emil has definitely put on more muscle over time. With more muscle, it means that we probably have to start the cut at a slightly higher body weight, just because we don't want to. His starting body weight is higher because of the muscle that he has. So previously in Lithuania, we did have to do a little bit of a hot bath, very short. Yeah. So what we're trying to kind of like minimize that this time. The only thing that we did was we tested a cut just to see how much he can lose, and based on that, we put him in a slight deficit to make sure his body weight is within a certain range that he can comfortably cut from, and just to make sure that it goes well. The food on the last day, we changed it a bit, and we gave him a delicious mix of SOS biscuits, cashew butter and honey, which obviously tastes like a Michelin star food. So, and Emil really likes it. So that's the only thing that we changed. Hopefully everything goes well, right? We won't really know, but it does seem that everything is trending quite well. Body weight is quite good. I think it's better than Lithuania. So I do have confidence that the cut will go pretty smoothly.
Okay, this is question 2. Cedric, based on what you've seen Emil doing this prep work, did you use anything new incorporated in his training to see how it goes? And what are your predictions for tomorrow?
Yeah, so I think the easiest thing to say is that for bench and deadlift, we really didn't change much. It's kind of like understanding the pattern. We've always done it, kind of the same.
We had one more deadlift sessions,
Yep.
which is technique day. It's easy,
Yep.
not so much intensity, but it's give me more confidence for a grip strength, because I never used straps for 4 months, which is lead to more gains with grip.
Yeah. So that is one. The deadlift is just we have more practice, but in terms of the actual loading, it's not really that different because we are just distributing the load wider. Just because if you're doing hook grip, if you're doing high volume on one training session, your thumbs will get really painful, and then you might not have high quality practice in like other sets. But if you have it spread across multiple days, you can actually have the practice without destroying your thumb too much. So that's one. But in terms of the actual loading itself, there wasn't really much of a difference. You know, we know that Emil needs to hit relatively decent pause deadlifts to feel good maybe for a position to go into the primary deadlifts. So we just establish and understand that pattern. In terms of bench press, we know he needs some stimulus from bench, trying some of M reps, right? I think for someone who benches quite a lot, 230, 240 plus kilos, the stimulus can come in multiple forms. You can do singles all the time, but doing singles all the time can be quite fatiguing, especially because it is also more time consuming because you have to work up, right? And then you have to do your back off sets or something like that. But when you do M reps, you get relatively higher stimulus towards lower RIR, right? So it's pretty close in terms of the intensity stimulus, closer towards failure, but you're just doing more repetitions, but you save time, and it also helps accumulate volume. That is what we have always done. We're just repeating that, but I think the squat is always going to be the most interesting thing because the squat is probably Emil's lift that was the main reason he came to me, because he's always had issues with squatting, and the main goal was always trying to minimize pain but give him enough stimulus that his squat can progress. So we know that he needs some relatively heavy weight, but he also needs repetition work. The repetition work will allow him to build some work capacity, right? And also allow him to practice the weights with slightly lighter loads, so it doesn't really like aggravate his upper back, because the thing that will aggravate the upper back usually is when the loads get heavier and when there's like a disproportional increase of loading. So what we incorporated was we get repetition work through regular squatting, regular competition squatting, and then we end with like a fatigue pause squat single. So that will allow him to have a relatively higher stimulus to prepare him for his actual primary squat day. Historically, in the past, what we have done is we have used a similar method, but we have split it into 10 days. But we have found that if we can incorporate that pause squat single after the repetition work, we don't have to do it in a 10 days fashion, and that makes
now it's only 1 week.
Yeah.
Every week is repeated.
Yeah, so that allows him to be a little bit more structured, and maybe that allows him to be a little bit more consistent because there's less changes. So it might be easier for him to like, okay, cool, I know like on Friday, I need to control my externals a couple of days before. I need to rest well because Friday is a primary session instead of the primary days always moving around. So yeah, in terms of actual prediction, he hit 320 in training. Yeah, the 320 was high, so we might not go for 320. We probably go somewhere from 315 to 317.5 depending on how the second attempt goes. I think that having like a 5 kilo squat PB from Worlds is actually quite good. Bench press, I think a 242.5 is a safe call. That will be 5 kilos up from Worlds as well, because Worlds was 237.5. And for deadlift, the goal is to hit his third, which he attempted at Worlds as a second. So 355 at Worlds would be 355 as a second here, and then we just see what we need to put on, whether that's 360, 362.5, 365. We'll see what we need and how 355 moves. So I think that all in all, I would probably say anywhere from 915 to 925 would be doable for competition day.
If you could change one thing in Emil, what would it be?
Roast me.
I think Emil is a very like dedicated lifter. He has a high work ethic. I think that is in every aspect of his life, not just lifting, but people always say bad things are good things. Too much of a good thing. I'm not saying too much work ethic is bad, but I mean, I've spoken to him before, is that if you do enjoy your work, you would need time to carve out where you need to find rest as well. He thinks he probably doesn't need rest because maybe he thinks he's invincible, right? But I do believe that you can find out ways to carve out some days where you're actually resting, allowing you to prepare yourself for a big training day, or maybe just a day that you can reset. I think that itself would give him it reduces the chances of burning out. And I only say this because Emil's job is a coach, which means that I wake up, I coach, I do powerlifting, I go to the gym, I do powerlifting, I come back, I do powerlifting, and then I play Mobile Legends. That's the only time he doesn't do powerlifting. So I think having a break from this powerlifting thing itself is going to be good. I know we love our job and it's okay to keep like doing the things that we love, but there will be a point when I think it's easy to do that when things are going smooth. But when things are not going smooth, everything that you once loved now becomes like hell. Whole life will be hell. So having that thing in life where you can distance yourself from your work is actually very important. And the only reason why I can say this is because I learned it myself. I used to train powerlifting, before my small injury. My PhD is in powerlifting. I do coaching. So my life, even though I'm not a high level lifter and I have no pressure to compete, but I still feel like my life is just powerlifting all the time. And when I meet people who talk to me about powerlifting, I'm just like, okay, goodbye, 5 minutes, and because I just don't want to talk about my work all the time. So I think that carving out a time to do something else, even like playing games, like maybe that Mobile Legends playing games actually helps, or even like watching a movie, just winding down, that's not powerlifting.
We need Mobile Legends sponsoring us.
Yeah, Mobile Legends sponsor. Please sponsor us. But yeah, I think just carving out that time is going to be valuable, and also like protecting that time, because it's always easy to be like, okay, I have free time, I'm just going to replace it with more work, but there's only going to be so much you can do. And like I said, if everything is going well, everything will look great. It's like, oh, it's the best thing. But if things are going bad, everything will look bad, and then that would not be a fun experience. So yeah.
Това, което каза Кедрик тук, доста така обобщаващо за подготовката ми спрямо Литва. Доста добре премина къта, тъй като преди един месец направихме тестови кът с различна схема и не се получи много добре, но въпреки това вече знаем какво работи. За момента теглото е около 94,400 сутринта, 2 дни преди състезание, което е доста добре. Чувствам се доста добре. В момента, както видяхте, приеме high density foods, които не са толкова обемни и са доста калорични, и като цяло се чувствам доста добре. Ден 2 за Шефилд приключи. По-скоро е приключване. Както видяхте, първо деня започна с тренировка, тъй като аз и Остин Перкинс имахме тренировка за лежанка и Агата. Та направихме бърза тренировка за около 30-40 минути. Аз имах една лежанка. Работих до 200 кг, след което деня продължи директно към разходка към Сити Хола. Разгледахме къде ще загряваме. Нови подобрения имат по сцената, така че ще видим подобренията, когато сцената е сгубена. Те първо я сгубяваха. Беше доста интересно. Заснехме кадри, както видяхте, от целия Сити Хол. Прекалено голямо е. Отново ще загряваме под земята, без обхват, без нищо, но важно е да има лайф. Ще има, да. Така че със сигурност утре ще бъде доста добро състезание, поне така предчувствам. Да, за зрителите най-вече, но след което аз ще го пусна на лайфа да го изгледам целия. Днеска общо взето с храната, деня ни приключи като заетост по обяд и съответно после чилвахме. Съответно тук довършвам работата си в момента, чекванията с клиенти, за да може да имат програми за следващата седмица и всичко да е окей. С храната водата беше 9-10 литра, както абсолютно всеки един ден. По-скоро гледах да го приключа по-рано през деня, между 4 и 5 часа. Приключих с водата и с храната, като последното ми твърдо хранене, както видяхте, беше на обяд с тази каша, която беше с лешник, с мед, такива бисквити, които са high density, доста калорични, на въглехидрати и мазнини. Това цялото хранене, както видяхте, беше около 1500-1700 калории и това беше общо взето храненето ми. Повече не съм ял. Теглото след обед в 5 часа беше 94 малко, така че почти съм в категорията си. Чувствам се добре и това е. Надявам се утре да бъде добър ден, да си направя кефа, да видят хората какво съм работил 7-8 месеца и пак да съм удовлетворен от резултата. Така че ще видим какво ще стане. Предчувствам, че ще бъде добре. И така, това беше епизод 2. Абонирайте се за канала. Ще се видим в следващия епизод, който ще заснем утре. Епизод 3. Ми идея. Ай, чао!